Namaste. Welcome back to Mindful Serenity Yoga, or Waking Up in a Busy World. I'm going to continue with our questions, and I'm going to grab the jar and reach down. Again, I said I have about 20 questions left, so I've already had 33 questions answered, and I would like to have about 50 before I finish this little exercise. And that's all this is a little exercise, an experiment to help me to assimilate some of my learning and to help a bit with the public speaking. So I'm going to start the timer and start it. Here we go. What is our greatest distraction? What is our greatest distraction? I'm going to take a breath. What is our greatest distraction? And by us, I'm assuming they mean humanities, so they're thinking in general terms. What is our greatest distraction? And I would have to say it's doing, period. We, especially in today's society, are in a very productivity-minded culture, where what we produce and what we achieve and what we create as outcome seems to be all important. And in order to achieve these things, we need to do, right? So we have things called to-do lists and action plans and, slogans that say, just do it, or keep going, and get her done, right? So we live in a society, and I'm speaking mostly about North American society, it's all I can speak to being a North American, that really distracts with doing. Now, doing comes in all different forms. It comes in work, and I would say my age group is particularly guilty. I don't use the word guilty, but guilty of that type of doing. We work to achieve. Working is important. Getting to retirement, putting in your hours. Seldom do we ever stop and question, well, why am I working? Why am I doing the job I'm doing? Why? And then if you do ask, someone asks you that, you say, well, because I need the money, I need to pay my mortgage, I need to do this. But why do you need to pay your mortgage? Why are you living in the house you live in that costs that much to live in? So you're working to keep your mortgage, or you're living to work or working to live, I guess is the conundrum we'll have to face. Because we do put work up on a pedestal and use it to identify ourselves as successful or unsuccessful. And the type of work we do too, so it's important in that area. So yes, we distract with the doing of work. But the younger generations, I see, are distracting with the use of electronics. It's still a doing activity, it's still a moving of the fingers or the thumbs, it's still a moving of the mind. Constantly stimulated, constantly distracted by whatever's going on their electronics, be it a screen, a TV set, a computer screen, a laptop, a gaming system, their telephones, iPads, so little electronic watches, so many electronics to keep them constantly distracted in the doing, a milder form of doing, but still doing, that keeps the mind active, even if the body may not be as active as the mind is during this type of activity. We do in our desire for fitness, just to keep moving, keep the body going, keep moving. That's even a slogan, I believe. Just keep the body moving, just exercise. And no one ever sets a limit of how much exercise is healthy or not healthy. And we do see a lot of people who are exercising to the point where it's an obsession and they are ill because of it. So the idea that we need to be healthy and fit and have this ideation of a certain body type that we're trying to achieve, a certain level of fitness we're trying to achieve. So we do for that as well. So we have a very challenging time of doing what Pascal in his Pensées 139 said, man couldn't do, and that was the cause of suffering, was sitting quietly in a room alone. We have a very difficult time just being. And I want to ask you, when was the last time you sat for 30 minutes and did nothing? A full 30 minutes and did nothing. What happens when we sit like that, and you'll say, well, I sat and I never did anything, but I can guarantee that you were active. Maybe not physically, but you were probably active mentally, which is another form of doing, right? Thinking is a form of doing. What we say and what we do in our heads keeps us away from feeling and simply being. So we can not only just do in the external world, moving the body into action, we move the mind into the action constantly with our thinking, which is a way of distracting us from the beingness of this moment. Why do we think and act this particular way so busily in this busy world? So that we do not have to deal with what's right here and right now. Our doing is a distracting from what is right here, right now. Most of us are not happy with the here and now, with the moment that we're in. We're looking to the future to give us our happiness, or we're going back to the past to remember our happy moments, remember when it was all so good. But seldom are we just here and now, appreciating the breath we're taking, appreciating the nature and natural surroundings around us, appreciating the people we're with, like truly listening to them, truly hearing what they have to say, feeling what they're feeling. We are so non-beers in our culture. Being is really not promoted. It's often, we're called lazy or unproductive because we're not doing. I have learned the hard way, because I was very much a doer, with to-do lists that were 20 feet long, I'm sure, to keep going and doing and get as much done as I could in a day. And I was never really satisfied with my day unless I could check off almost everything that I had on my to-do list and then some. And it was all dependent on how well I did it too. I never spent those 30 minutes just sitting and being like I do now, until I finally got to the point where my body and my mind, because I think I'm naturally a beer rather than a doer, but I was caught up in the doing frenzy. So my body and mind finally got to me and stopped me, so that I had to stop doing and had to sit, learn to sit with what is and with who I was and with the moment and the here and now, rather than always projecting outward, trying to get things done for the future or looking back to seeing what I accomplished. I was able to just be, and it took a lot to get me to that point, but just being. I can now sit 30 minutes and not do anything. I can sit 30 minutes and barely think. I'm getting to the point where I'm mastering that too. I mean, it took a lot of work, but I see the benefit of it. I see the necessity of beingness in our lives. Of course, we need to balance those as human beings, right? We can't just be and we can't just do. We need to do both in order to be what we're here to be, human beings, right? We're not human doings, though. We're not here to just do. We do need to add being into that mix. And we cannot just be, unless you're planning on, living in a monastery somewhere where being is all they do, is sit and meditate all day or sit and chant all day. Few of us are called to that life, though some are, and that's great. But as the human being in North American society, we need to learn to rest more, learn to stop the body, learn to sit and just be with what is, instead of constantly trying to distract ourselves with busy doing and thinking, which is the biggest distraction. Doing and thinking, I believe, is a part of doing. So what do we do about it? We learn to sit. We learn to just be. Start with small increments at a time. Start with 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. There's all kinds of apps you can get for your telephone or for your cell phone, for that. Or you get them on TV now. Netflix has a series on Headspace. There's so much you can do. So many apps. And so much promotion out there for this beingness that so many of us fail to tap into. But just spend 20 minutes a day. I really recommend mindfulness and meditation, which are practices that can be easily learned. But just be. Whatever may not work for everybody, so whatever works for you, just learn to just be for 20 minutes a day. That's my challenge to you. Just be able to sit in a room quietly for 20 minutes a day without distraction, knowing that we have a tendency towards doing as our distraction. Just recognize that that's your tendency. Stop it and learn to be. That's all I have to say to that. I hope it helps. Namaste.